Howdy y'all, and welcome back to I Am Abled Because I Am is Able. So I wanted to go over a couple of things from the last couple of videos that maybe you might be wondering. And that is, why did I post late, how did it go, and how was my recovery? First of all, I'll explain that it is Labor Day weekend while I'm filming this. I'm also posting this late for you because of a very specific reason. So if you hear a lot of commotion, that's my neighbors having fun for the holiday weekend. Okay, so back to how did worship night go? And why did I post everything like a week behind? Here we go. And how was my recovery? So, first of all, I posted everything behind a week for a couple of reasons. Firstly, which I'll try to be short about, even though it's a very big concept, it's really scary talking about any milestones of recovery before you're really sure how well they're going to work out. So that was a major reason for me. But the second reason actually has something to do more with the heart of a servant and a heart of worship. And I really didn't want worship night to be about anybody coming to see me. To me, being part of worship is to be part of bringing people closer to God in worship, not closer to myself and to worshiping me. So I was very intentional about that. So when I posted the videos, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't saying, hey, come see me, this is a concert of me, because it wasn't. But it was something that I also wanted to thank God for and to be open about to you and to myself and to my family. So I wanted to film that kind of big moment for me, but I didn't want it to be about just me. So that was the first reason, or the major reason why I did not film and then air it the same week as things were happening. The first video was the week before when I literally that day decided to do practice. And the second video was the day of the second rehearsal and worship night. Okay, so how did it go, you might be asking. I've had a lot of people ask me this right afterwards and even in text messages since then, and so I wanted to answer. As a whole, the drumming itself, the sensation of drumming on the cajon, the box drum underneath me, I didn't really feel any actual pain from the movement of doing that. That being said, when you're playing a cajon, the way you do that is you sit on just a rectangular box, flat, pretty small on the tushy, and not a whole lot of cushion. It's pretty much wood with a tiny little piece of cushion. Even with adding a blanket to sit on that was folded up, that was the hardest thing, was sitting on the cajon and not thinking through how long people would be talking between songs. So that itself was the real painful part of playing for the worship that night. I had to sit up a long time for practice, and then in between practice and worship night, again, there was just seats without good support on the neck, and then playing for the worship night, and then afterwards talking and hanging out with people. By the end of the night, I have to admit, I was doing okay-ish right away, but as soon as I got in the car, I could tell things were starting to hit, and I couldn't handle the car ride. I had to have my neck brace on because any kind of inertia of the stop, even really gradual stops, were extremely painful. And by the next day, I started noticing more symptoms. My body was really kind of not coping with that much assault, I guess you could say, to its whole system. I'm not used to sitting up without backs for long, extended periods of time. I usually try and find seats with backs that are high enough that I can even slouch and lean my neck against when my neck gets tired, so it doesn't have to work. But when you're on a cajon, you can't do that. So I would say that was the hardest part, and I'm still not really sure how to combat that, to be perfectly honest. More on that in a moment. So, how has my recovery been? And also, what is the plan from here on out? Here we go. To be perfectly frank, my dog also had an emergency the next night, and that also added stress to my whole system. So it's hard to know exactly how much of my recovery this week has been from Cajon playing and how much has been from helping her and driving around to different vets to actually get a decent answer that would help her. And so here we are. It has been almost a week. I had a really bad, what I call sensory spiral or sensory overload event. It lasted most of Monday night into all of Tuesday to a degree, and then lessened by Wednesday. And then the end of Wednesday, I was pretty much back to normal, although I'm still a little bit on edge, but I wouldn't call it a sensory storm or overload anymore. It's just kind of like my nerves are just a little shaky. I also had problems with some little tinglings in the face, which is not completely new, but just a little sketch. And yeah, and I've been having major trouble with double vision issues and some other things that I just really don't want to go over in this video. Just know that I had pretty bad, I don't know if you call it a setback, but pretty harsh recovery this week. So I have gone to physical therapy twice since Sunday, and my physical therapist and I have been talking over a plan. I even emailed him halfway through the week to tell him there's a lot that's happened the last couple of days. Here's the update. And then we've talked through that. We've talked through plans for the future. So here we go. Some of this is just because I pretty much went from no playing with the Cajon to like 2 hours of sitting at the Cajon, whether I was playing it or not. Went from barely sitting up for more than a half an hour without something behind me to like 2 or more hours sitting up without good support behind me. And my body just isn't quite ready to do a marathon of sitting. So, it was really intense on my neck, on my nerves, on everything to go from 0 to 60, as he called it. And so he's actually impressed I wasn't worse. I don't know what worse would be. That scares me to think of how bad I could be in his opinion. But I am grateful that it hasn't lasted as long as it felt like it was going to last. So that's a better thing, in my opinion, than what I expected. As for moving forward, the plan. Am I going to not play anymore? Well, honestly, I am a little bit nervous to play more, but my physical therapist is encouraged by the fact that it didn't hurt me to actually play as much as it did to sit on the Cajon. So the kind of sort of plan is to do shorter spurts on the Cajon on my own, which is a little tricky because Cajon is really more of a group thing, like you play with other musicians. So I'm gonna try and figure it out. I'm gonna try not to complain because this is part of healing. It doesn't always seem as fun or typical as everyday life until you're able to get past certain hurdles. So I don't know how often I'll be able to do it, because it does mean having to get it out from where I store it, and I don't know when I'm ever going to play it again in public like that, because again I would have to think about how long I'm sitting at the Cajon and how long the intermission area is of sitting even at a chair without a good back. So all of those things are things I have to think about. But I'm not completely giving up on the idea. So yeah, that's how things have gone. Not awesome, but not as awful as they could have. I hope this answers some of your major questions about worship night, about why I didn't respond or talk about it very much beforehand. And about how my recovery went and how the actual night went, because that was the whole plan of this video. I've gotten questions throughout the entire span of this, and that's kind of what's going on. Also, if you've been wondering why I didn't talk about wanting to play cajon sooner, if you know me and I haven't really talked about this instrument maybe ever since you've known me, it's because it's one of those desires deep inside your heart that, like, you're not sure when or if you can ever get back to, and it's really scary to voice that. I hope I can make a video on that more in depth later, but my phone is running out of room, so I need to go now. And yeah, God bless. I hope you had an awesome Labor Day weekend, and thanks for watching this far. Bye.